Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says, "We took $4 trillion from the American middle class and created 500 new billionaires. There are things I fear much more than death, for example," he said. "I am much more afraid of losing my constitutional rights than America, and that America will not lose its democracy." Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Democrat, who days ago announced his 2024 bid for the White House as president, essentially challenging President Biden's still hypothetical re-election bid, argued that the American middle class has been systematically decimated during the COVID-19 pandemic. And Danielle Wallace of Fox News says, more than anything else, he says, "We need to rebuild the American middle class, and part of that is to get out of the wartime economy and the constant conflict, following what China did initially, which is to build its power and project its power by building its economy at home." Kennedy told Fox News' Neil Cavuto. He said, "A nation's strength comes from a strong economy and a vibrant middle class. And we've wiped out the middle class in this country in a systematic way," he says. He says, "The worst thing of all is what Biden did to the economy," Kennedy said. He's a staunch anti-vaccine advocate for COVID-19, among others, referring to the containment measures introduced in 2020 in the U.S. He says it caused $16 trillion in damage. According to Larry Summers, the IMF report, the Harvard report, we took $4 trillion of wealth from the American middle class and transferred it to this new billionaire aristocracy. We created 500 new billionaires. Oxfam's report released last week shows that the billionaires who existed at the beginning of the pandemic, people like Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeffrey Bezos, Bloomberg, etc., increased their wealth by 30% during that time from the lockdowns, and Amazon shut down all its competitors." End quote. Cavuto challenged Kennedy Jr. on the positions of progressives within his party, such as Senator Elizabeth Warren, who supported the estate tax, noting how families like the Kennedys would be the ones paying for such a liability. He said, Kennedy Jr. said, "I don't think these huge disparities in wealth are healthy for our country or healthy for democracy. To have very, very high concentrations of wealth in a nation that today is characterized by widespread poverty," he said. He said, "I'm in a better position to run against Donald Trump than any of the Democrats because I can hold him accountable for the worst thing he's ever done, which was the lockdowns. The lockdowns were absolutely devastating," Kennedy Jr. said. And as we know, he's a nephew of former President John F. Kennedy. He announced his candidacy for the 2024 presidency last Wednesday after filing the relevant documents earlier this month. A USA Today Suffolk University poll of Biden voters showed Kennedy Jr.'s popularity is at 14% compared to 67% who said they would support the current president again. "It's like going up against someone in your family, but ultimately I think I'm in a much better position to beat Donald Trump than Joe Biden, and I also just disagree with him on key issues like my father did with Lyndon Johnson on censorship," Kennedy Jr. said to Cavuto for his decision to take on Biden. He said, "I don't think the White House should censor its political critics," he said. "I think what we're doing with this war is prolonging it unnecessarily, and we march aimlessly to bloodshed. I disagree with that. I agree with some of this government's public health policies. My dad has also run for office. He didn't think he could win, and his goal was to tell the truth to the American people. And that's what I'll do. And if there is a will for something like that to happen, I will be in the White House in 2025, Kennedy Jr. said. Kennedy Jr.'s father, known by his initials RFK and the nickname Bobby, served as U.S. Attorney General and U.S. Senator for New York before his assassination June 5, 1968. There are things, he said, I fear a lot more than death. For example, Kennedy Jr. said to Cavuto, I'm much more afraid of losing my constitutional rights and America losing its democracy. There is an entire generation of Americans who in 1776 sacrificed their lives to give us this Constitution, losing their fortunes as well. And we see this Constitution being taken away from us. We have to be willing to take risks, he added. And this is from a Greek article I've translated for you. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.